Hello and welcome. I'm Maria from Sew Through Time, and I recently had the privilege of being a pattern tester for Scroop Patterns, their new 1915 to 1918 skirt called Kilbernie. This pattern is a gorgeous pattern taken from an original garment. It is a skirt that has pockets and that Edwardian paper bag waist that is very common in skirts today too. Now I'd like to point out that I was a pattern tester, so the pattern that I tested is not exactly the same one as the pattern that came out, but it was a very gorgeous pattern. I absolutely loved to make it, and I highly recommend you get it. The absolute best part of this skirt is that because it's a paper bag waist, it's not very fitted. And for once, I didn't actually have to fiddle with size. I just got the pattern because all you need is your waist measurement. That's all you need. And you just get the pattern for your waist that fits your waist, and it will fit your hips, because my waist to hip ratio is way off the charts always. But I was able to use my size and use it as is, and it is still loose on my waist, hips as it's supposed to be. It doesn't get too clingy or anything. It works perfectly. The Kilbernie pattern comes with two options. There's a view A and a view B. I made the view B because I really loved those big pockets. The view A pockets are the ones that were in the original garment, and they have the cute cording on them, whereas these ones have the fold over and the buttons. And I love them both, but I just wanted big pockets because who doesn't want big pockets? For my fabric, I'm using a really light cotton sateen because I think that gives me a good versatile skirt that will go from evening to day, and just depending on the accessories and tops and things like that. So I thought that this would be a really cool piece to have in my wardrobe. And for my buttons, I'm using vintage glass buttons. They are really from the 1930s, but they're fine, and I think they look really cool with this. And personally, I'm not a button expert, so I couldn't even tell that there was any difference from 19 teens buttons, but I'm sure somebody who is a button expert will be able to tell that. For the structured belt, you want something a little bit more sturdy and tightly woven, because there is boning in that. So I decided to use a glazed cotton that I had in my stash. It's vintage. I don't know if it's a similar quality to what you can get now, because I have never bought modern glazed cotton, but it worked really well for this. For my boning, I'm just using zip ties. You could use a synthetic whalebone. If you have that, I just happen to have zip ties in the right size, so I went with that. The instructions for constructing this garment show both the original garments, like how it was constructed, and it also gives you other options. I decided to opt for the way that the original garment was constructed, so I used my selvage edges. And then only the side seams are cut edges, and those are French seamed. But what I really love about this pattern is that it does give you these different options. You can cut your pattern in different ways, whatever seems best for your pattern and your fabric. So it gives you many different options. And also, this skirt would be so gorgeous for just history bounding, even without a corset, especially because there is that structured belt. It does give you a little bit of structure. It gives you a better silhouette, even if you're not wearing a corset. The only thing that I would have changed if I were to redo this pattern, and I will, because I love this pattern, is that because I'm very short backed. Like, I have zero distance from the most narrow part of my rib cage. Waist to my rib cage. There's like zero distance there. And because this is fitted onto a waistband, and the waistband is quite thick, and there's boning in that waistband. So when I wear this skirt, I actually cheat a little, and I don't put both hooks and eyes closed. I only put one pair so that it doesn't cause pressure on my rib cage when I wear it longer. But the reason why I didn't change this in the pattern or the version that I made was because I wanted to be true to the original garment and see exactly what it would feel like and what it would be like exactly as it is in the pattern. And this is not a big issue. Like I said, I just wear it with just one hook closed. But that's something that you might want to keep in mind if you're shorter waisted. And basically the whole skirt is built around this structured waistband. And then it's just drawstring gathered. And the way the drawstring gathering works in this is that you basically put, instead of like a normal drawstring, you put a cording in. And that is where the tricky part of this pattern is. This is a easy to make pattern and fairly quick once you get past the initial, like, I struggle with reading patterns sometimes because I have quite severe dyslexia, but once you get past that, wrap your head around how this skirt is constructed, it is easy to make. And I would say it's beginner friendly, other than the waistband, like sewing that without getting any puckering is tricky. But in all honesty, you really don't have to worry if there is puckering at the waist or if there's puckering at the hem, because it is not going to show on the finished garment, especially that because you're already gathering that cording in. So if there's any weirdness in the stitches, it's not going to be visible. If there's puckering, it will be hidden completely by the gathering in the cording. So that doesn't matter. And at the hem, because the hem is cut to size and it does get a little wider, so when you fold it over, and it folds up quite a bit in this pattern because that's how it is in the original garment. So you do get puckering there. I tried to iron it out a little bit, but then I just let it be because I've seen original garments, they have puckering. This original skirt that this pattern is based on has puckering. It doesn't bother me. But if you're one of those persons who it gets bothered by this, then you might want to think if you want to do this somehow differently, or maybe just cut the piece shorter and then just hem it shorter. But the era really did have these large seam allowances in the hem. I don't think I've ever seen one without that, so that's something to keep in mind. And here is the finished skirt. Let me know down below in the comments if you would rather wear this kind of skirt as a history bounding piece or as a historical garment. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do that now, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!